We know nothing is ever for sure with these 49ers, but at least as of right now, it looks like Brock Purdy is coming back this week against the Cardinals. So, with Mac Jones playing this well, why are the Niners making the switch? And what will the offense look like now that Brock is back as opposed to Mac Jones? We'll cover it all on today's Gold Standard Podcast. What is good, everybody? You have found the demonetization station here on the Gold Standard Podcast. If you are new to the show, this is where Johnny Dell, who's alongside me, and I break down something diving deep into the film, and the NFL takes all of our money. Johnny, looks like Brock Purdy may be back this Sunday. How you feeling about it?
If Brock is able to play like Brock, I mean, that's a big lift for this team. The fact is, when Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy have been on the field together and both have been healthy, that's a key metric in there. This is an offense that tends to score 28 plus points per game. And we haven't been hitting that in any sort of regularity with Mac Jones. That's not to say that Mac is not playing well. It's just there's a different level this offense can go to with Brock. Now, Mac also doesn't have a lot of weapons right now, but he's still throwing for a lot of yards. But there is a clear difference between the two.
What is the clear difference?
Well, I mean, if we go to what is for Brock, I think what separates Brock is going to be his mobility and playmaking. That Brock brings another level of mobility and also the ability to, when he scrambles, to still keep his eyes downfield, make plays downfield. He doesn't scramble just to gain yards. He scrambles to buy time to make a play. And where it's with Mac, it's like, if the play is not there, then I'm going to salvage what I can out of it and go from there. The other thing is that Brock is a better post-snap operator. He just is. We're going to see that through the film. He's a high level anticipation thrower. Mac has been making some really good anticipation throws. Yep. You're just going to see, and I'm going to show an example in here, that Brock is in a different stratosphere than 98% of the NFL. I think the two best anticipation throwers in the league right now, by my opinion, are Matt Stafford and Brock Purdy. Matt Stafford obviously has a bigger arm, but Stafford will make some throws that you just go, when you see him in his windup, you're thinking, good Lord, that should be an interception. And it's not. And the eye discipline from Brock is much better than Mac Jones, and he just works through his progressions more thoroughly. Mac can move through his progressions quickly, but a lot of times he will skip over some progressions, and we'll take a look at that. So that is setting it all up. The big differences I see between the two.
All right. Well, I think that, all of us, and myself included, kind of forget a little bit what it was like with Brock Purdy. We had this idea on our head that he was terrible last year, even though he was 7th in QBR, which was the lowest he's ever been in QBR. And then we think that, Mac Jones has been putting up these big numbers. So I think maybe our memory has skewed things a little bit, which is why I wanted to do this and show this so we can, sort of refresh ourselves a little bit.
Absolutely. We can forget how good Brock has been. And with the games, I know coming out of Seattle, everybody thought, well, Brock didn't play that well. But then when you've seen how good Seattle's defense has been this year, you in retrospect, you say, Brock was one of the better quarterbacks versus Seattle, period. Their defense has been really good. And they've been playing at a very high level, especially week 1, because they were completely healthy. So we're going to see that here. And this is an example of some of the mobility that Brock brings. So we got George Kittle on a basic route. We're going to try and flare Kyle Juszczyk out. And one thing that was clear from what Seattle did is they said, we're going to take away Christian McCaffrey. There's these games of being played up to that week. Was Christian McCaffrey going to play? Was he not? So what Seattle's going to do is they're going to say, well, we're going to try and take away the run. So they're going to bring a blitz through the A gap or through the B gap, excuse me. And they did this a lot in this game. They were trying to do this to blow up runs. And then what they're also going to do is they're going to say, well, we're going to have our defensive end chip on the running back. You don't often see a chip on there. They're trying to disrupt and get physical and hit the running backs coming out of the backfield. That was mainly a defense against Christian McCaffrey. So we're trying to widen with Juszczyk, and then to get this safety out, to get a cloud player out, or corner in the flat out and hit George Kittle on this basic, you're going to see Christian McCaffrey is going to come to the left side of the line. That should pull this linebacker over. So this is where you want to go with the ball. That's where you're designing this out to at the beginning of this play. And we're going to see, you see Christian McCaffrey goes in motion. So that's, again, to draw this Mike over, and you're going to put this guy in a blender. That's what you're trying to do out of this play. So we're going to see that. Here comes the blitz. Okay, they're bringing it in. So this is a 2 deep fire zone. So they're shading. Brock's going to say, okay, I got this basic route right here. That's where he wants to go with the ball, but you get pressure right up the gut. I tried to pause that, and it didn't pause. Get pressure right up the gut. McKivitz gets beat inside. They've smacked Juszczyk out here again to try and take away these running backs. So Brock wants to hit this. He's trying to wait for George to get there. It doesn't happen. He's getting pressure up the gut. So now he's going to try and escape. But then you have this defensive lineman out here. This is in rough territory. You're looking at safety territory. So he says, okay, I got to get out there. And he immediately then is able to buy time. He can't outlet it to Juszczyk, who's on the ground, and he's still going to get his eyes downfield and find Christian McCaffrey. So this is a play that could end up in disaster. Brock is able to make this a 5-yard gain. I mean, that's one of those plays that a 5-yard gain goes in the stat sheet, but you go, that was a play that could have been absolute disaster. And he salvages 5 yards.
It scares the hell out of you, because the second he kind of starts to roll out, I'm sitting there like, dude, you're in your end zone, throw it away, throw it away. But he does have that ability to sort of make those plays, take a situation that's not, maybe starts off as a negative situation and turn it into something positive to keep you ahead of the chains and keep moving the football. It's just, he's got to also, if he can do that while eliminating some of the negative plays, then you're really into some impressive territory. But I think sometimes we just sort of take what Brock just did there for granted a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. Because and it can be being prisoners of the moment or prisoners of stats sometimes, you 5-yard gain. It's pretty incredible that wasn't a safety. So then here you come right back, and Seattle's showing this kind of man look, and they got 2 safeties. So you're going, okay. And notice the leverage here. They're also playing in slight outside leverage. So that is telling you that this is kind of a 2-man look. So we're going to come with a couple in routes here from the receivers. And against 2-man, you want to attack the middle of the field. So if Brock is predetermining this pre-snap, he's going to throw it over the middle. Then we send a guy in motion. And this is also another element that Brock brings, is we use more motions and more shifts in the passing game than we do with Mac Jones. So now you're seeing the shift is coming. These guys don't change. You get a bump in. That's then kind of a zone look. And Seattle runs a lot of these matching zones, kind of zone drops. So you have to be alert. Okay, this could be 2 zone. So this is where Brock as a post-snap operator is so good. So he's going to get his eyes to this safety, and he's going to see this safety work down, and these guys break in because Seattle is dropping in cover 1 man. So they're bringing safeties out. So they're taking away the middle of the field. So from here, just watch how quickly he operates. And I'll run this in full speed so you can see it. He sets up back foot, and he's going to throw this out route to Kittle, because that's where you got interference over this, and he's going to hit the outbreaking route where you don't have help. That's your winning route to the outside, and Brock just hits his back foot, balls out, George Kittle, first down, third and 4. This is the level that Brock Purdy brings as far as post-snap operator. He's able to diagnose all this data. Brock is one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch, just how smoothly he operates through these progressions, through the data, everything you see, to be able to identify this as multiple different possibilities, read the safeties, boom, back foot, balls out. There you go, George Kittle, 8-yard gain on 3rd and 4. It looks really simple, but there's so much complexity to that. That is the kind of stuff that Brock Purdy brings.
And I think that for a lot of people, especially me, I don't want to separate myself from anybody, and especially live watching the game, I'm not really able to process all that. I just look at that play and I'm like, oh, nice little 5-yard pass to George Kittle. But then when you dive a little deeper and you realize what the play was set up to do, what the defense presented, and then ultimately how Brock sort of read that out and adjusted, I gain a deeper appreciation, really, than when I'm just watching on Sunday and I'm like, oh, good, 5-yard pass.
Yeah, because that's one of those plays that, if you were talking about just as a pure progression, he's essentially getting to his third read on his back step. If you look at it as just from inside out, 1, 2, 3, could have been the third. That's where there's a phrase we use sometimes with quarterbacks saying they streamline the process, meaning at the snap, he eliminates 1 and 2 and he goes straight to 3 because the change in the safeties eliminated 1 and 2. And so he goes right to 3. It looks like he's on 1, but that's actually number 3.
Philippe, YouTube channel member, asks a good question. Is Kyle's higher use of pre-snap motion with Brock versus Mac an illustration of Brock's faster processing power?
Yeah. I mean, it's not to say that Mac doesn't have a good processor. It's that Brock Purdy has an ability to bring in an incredible amount of data and operate it like in reaction time. That is just, it's rare. It's very rare in the NFL. It's very rare, period. So I do think that there's a different level of comfort with Shanahan, and we're going to see that here on this play. So just watch how they operated these motions. You could see Brock when he sent a motion in place, his eyes are down the field and he's watching the defense. Okay, here we're going to see Mac Jones. So LA, this is a very similar presentation, right? You're seeing this kind of bump man look, 2 safeties looking like maybe 2-man. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to have Juwan Jennings on what's called an under route and George Kittle on a basic route. So similar kind of idea here is the very first play. Kyle calls this follow. On the outside, we're going to bring Demarcus Robinson in motion, and then we're going to run him on a corner route. We're going to have Kendrick Bourne on a choice out China. So he's going to break out like a choice out route and then cut back in. So it's a double move, and then you get McCaffrey out to the flat. Generally, what you have here is this is a 2 high beater to the top, and you're going to have a middle field closed or single high to the left, to the other side. This is generally how it's going to work out. And there's some data here that LA gives that Mac's going to miss a little bit. So you have this bump look. Now, right before the snap, you see this corner is going to back out, and then he's going to take a couple steps in. He is going to create hard inside leverage on Juwan Jennings. This is one of the issues I have with this play. Yes, there was pass interference. This is the first 3rd down against the Rams, just for context. So we bring him in motion, and Mac first, his eyes are down here, and while his eyes return, this guy comes in. I mean, look at how far inside Juwan Jennings he is. This is hard inside leverage. Mac is expecting a zone match here. So he's expecting, okay, down here, they're going to zone this out because we come inside their divider rules. And so they're going to zone that out, and he's just determined that this is the side he wants to work. But right at the snap, they're dropping down. They're going to be running man coverage with a lurk to that side. And so on the other side, you have just man coverage and his safety in the middle. So where you'd like to see Mac go is to this side. We want to see him work to the left side. The right side is not where you're going to have a great win here. And Mac just predetermines his throw. I mean, look at the inside leverage that this corner has as Mac's in his windup. Yes, the corner gets there just a tad early, but this should not have been the throw. The data there said, don't make this throw. What he needs to do is work back down to this side where you're going to have McCaffrey's going to come out. This guy's going to come underneath. The corner's attacking this double move, and you're going to have that break open. I've seen Brock hit that route multiple times versus shifts like this. And we just saw Brock process and operate in a very similar way where he went away from the in-breaker against the one man and he works, the other side or works away from it. And so Mac throws it there. Yes, he gets there early, but that was a tight window throw. I mean, that's a bang, bang play. Even if Juwan Jennings catches this, he's going to get lit up by the lurk player. So that's one. Mac played very well in this game, but you just see a difference in how they operate pre and post snap. He'd predetermined that throw. That was not there.
And I think it's really interesting too, because it's not like when we talk about, maybe Brock possibly being an upgrade over Mac, it's not necessarily, well, here, Mac's making all these terrible plays that Brock Purdy won't make. It is the little adjustments like this. It is the little things where maybe you turn an incompletion into a completion, and that keeps the drive going. And then the Rams aren't able to get up 21 zip right out of the gate. It's just the small little things like that that can actually make a big difference in a game, and especially game script.
Exactly. I mean, because Mac has a great pocket here. He's got a great pocket. You can see this inbreaker was going to be there. This guy's going to fly out. It's there. And you actually have a chance for a pretty good gain, too. He's going to catch this and then be able to turn up field. The space is there on the field. Mac's got to get to the right side. Now, this is one of the few poor mistakes or poor decisions that Mac made in the game. He was overall very good, but that's at a really difficult time in the game to make that mistake. Okay, so now we'll move on. This is a play that, gosh, this just shows the incredible anticipation level that Brock has. So we're going to bring a guy in motion. There's no change. It's looking like they're going to zone it out, but they're bringing this heavy pressure look, right? They got 6 guys at the line of scrimmage, 4 in the back shell. They love to run a lot of fire zones. So you're expecting this could be a 2 deep fire zone. They could roll into a 3 deep fire zone. This could be straight man coverage. Brock's got to process this out. So he doesn't get much data from the motion now, but right before the snap, he's going to see this guy drift, but he doesn't drift inside. He comes straight back. So what Brock's going to do is he's going to keep eyes here and the safeties. He's going to read this down the middle of the field. And so once he sees these safeties widen, his eyes go straight here, because what we got Ricky Pearsall on a post route, and you're going to have Christian McCaffrey come and sit over the middle of the field. This is another 3rd down. This is like 3rd and 9. So Brock immediately gets his eyes to Ernest Jones, and right when he sees Ernest Jones flip his hips, he's going to pull the trigger on this. And this ball actually, it is so early where he throws this. It's even off the screen where Ricky Pearsall ends up catching this ball. You can see Brock is just starting his windup. So here he is, the arms cocked back. This ball is going to be caught, I think it's at the 43. This is insane to make a throw like that early. There he is. Ricky isn't going to break until here. That is wild to see, and the accuracy to put it on him, and then he goes and gets another 6 yards. That is just insane.
Now, that's a little scary to me because, that's Brock with all offseason to prepare, training camp, preseason. Is he going to have that kind of anticipation? And even if he does, is he going to be able to put the football in the correct spot after not playing for so long? I do have a little bit of agita about that, Johnny.
And that's fair. I will just say that we've seen Brock make throws like this his entire career. This has been his MO of making these kinds of throws down the middle. To be able to spot that your backside safety's turned, this guy's flat-footed, and this guy's outside leverage, and make this throw that early is, there's very few quarterbacks you see make that kind of anticipation throw. It's so high level. Max made some good ones. It hasn't ever looked like that. That's just insane. Okay, so now you're going to see that he's going to work through the eye discipline is another thing that separates him. So he doesn't tip his route. So we're going to run a little choice concept here. So that means we're going to run a corner route, and then McCaffrey's on a choice route. Okay, and this is another one where we have a 2 high beater over here, and we have a single high beater over here. So first thing Brock's going to do, he's going to read these safeties to confirm that they're going to stay in cover 2. Okay, now the eyes are going to stay down the middle of the field. He's going to work on this hook defender. We're trying to push this deep and then let McCaffrey come in and work into this zone and sit down. This isn't going to keep on the move. He's got to understand, this route can sit down. It can keep running. It can break out. So these 2 guys got to be on the same page. He's going to read this out. See, the hook player has gained depth. So he's just going to work this to Christian McCaffrey right here. But again, the eye discipline, and I'll show this from full speed. You're going to see Brock keeps his eyes down the middle, and that's what opens this up. And then his back foot, balls out. There it is. Connection on it. Again, it's a 9-yard gain. Doesn't seem like much, but the eye discipline. Watch Brock's head on this play. His head does not turn until he makes the throw. Eyes down the middle of the field. Boom. There it works over. He kept his eyes right down the middle of the field. That is something we don't see as much from Mac. You will see Mac you see that head start moving a little bit, and so defenders are jumping a little bit. That's one reason why we've seen a little bit less yak. It's not the only reason. We do have a lack of explosive weapons in the pass game. But that's something that Brock is really, really good at, is the eye discipline.
I love all these little things that, again, we take a lot of the time for granted. And any way we could squeeze more yak out of this team would be appreciated, Johnny. I was talking with Levin about it yesterday, and it's like, man, George Kittle had that 20-yard reception against the Rams where he broke some tackles and ran. And I was like, oh, yeah, we used to do this all the time. Like, I miss the yak.
Yes. I mean, we have not gotten a lot of yak. And again, that's not all in Mac, yak and Mac. But because, I mean, we don't have much speed at the wide receiver position. It's just we're missing that with Pearsall being out, with Ayuk being out. Jordan Watkins is still coming up to speed. Jacob Cowing has re-injured his hamstring 800 times now. So, yeah, you see that. The other thing with Brock is that he can get deep into his progressions really quickly. And you see him work through the progressions. It's not like 1, 2 outlet or 1 outlet. It's not that kind of a situation. And that is part of why you're seeing Christian McCaffrey get so many targets, is sometimes if one's not there, Mac Jones is immediately going to Christian McCaffrey. Here you're going to see Brock work this. Now, I don't know 100% what Jake Tonjes is running here, because he gets tripped. And so he just goes down to the ground. So that's why I have it drawn as whatever up here. So I don't know exactly what they were trying to work on. Outside, I want to say it's probably a stick route. I want to say it's a stick route, but I can't be 100% certain. But this is a 4th down play, and watch the speed at which you're going to see Brock work through these progressions. So first thing he's doing, okay, eyes are over here to these 2 defenders. He's trying to read this out. You're going to see Pearsall. They're going to stay on top of him. So one's out. Then he's going to look quick to the flat, and this guy goes down. So he says, okay, I'm going to see that. Oh, that's not there. These are taken away. So now his eyes are going to come back to Jennings, who's on a basic route. We're going to see this. He's going to look, and he's going to say, okay, this guy's moving into the passing lane. I don't like that. So this is taken away. So he moves through 1, 2, 3, and then he's going to work backside to 4, where you have Tonjes or think Luke Farrell working away as Christian McCaffrey's coming out. So this is an across the field read. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 on 4th down. And he works backside to his 4th, gets it to Luke Farrell on a bang, bang, tight window throw for on 4th down to get the 1st down. That is so impressive. Just watch this in real time to see how quickly he moves through these progressions, and the feet are calm. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, out. That's really impressive stuff.
And they ultimately scored on that drive, I believe. It was that's the Kittle touchdown too. So it's like that does make a difference. Before we get to the next play, quickly, we got a super chat here. Real OBJ CDT. Thank you so much, because the NFL can't take that money. Says, does context matter for quarterback wins, losses? So quarterback 1 and quarterback 2 have the same roster. QB1 goes 17 games against last year's Chiefs and goes 7-10. QB2 goes against this year's Saints and goes 14-3. Who is better? I'll take a swing at this first. I need more information than that. I just can't look at final records and rosters and tell you. I need to be able to watch the games and watch the film.
Yeah, and that's where, I mean, watching the film, looking at how did they operate in there. Coaches, what they're going to do, so the 49ers are going to have a grade for their players. They're going to go through and they're going to grade out each performance. And they're going to look at their internal grades over time. And that's what they're leaning on to determine, where's this going? If Mac was consistently grading out A+ or A-, and Brock was consistently grading out B- over the last 12 months, then there may be a competition here. But that's not going to be internally how it's going to grade out. That's not how I would grade it out. Looking at this, I go, there's going to be some plays that skew up or down, but overall, when you look at this, Brock is a higher operator of he's a higher operator of an offense than most quarterbacks in the NFL. That's just a fact with what he's able to do. And it's these little things that we're going to see it here. So we're going to go back to 2024. This is week 1 against the Jets. I want to show him against really good defenses. This is a defense that, before Robert Saleh was fired, this was an incredible defense. Robert Saleh was not fired because of his defense. We're going to run here a sail concept, or flood concept. You're going to run a clearing route. George Kittle's going to be on a sail route or deep out route, and we're going to run Deebo Samuel out into the flat. And the way that New York's playing here, they're playing a cover 3 zone. So you're going to see on that side, you're going to see, excuse me, I drew those wrong. You're going to have this guy in a hook. You're going to have this guy in the flat, this guy in a deep third. And watch the way that Brock is going to manipulate this guy. This is, again, the high-level stuff that Brock does. It's so subtle, but he keeps his eyes down the middle of the field. He holds this safety. This safety can't move. That also holds this hook player down the hash. So when he keeps his eyes down the middle of the field, so he's holding him just enough to create leverage for George Kittle, because now George Kittle is able to win outside of that linebacker. So now what he's got to do is he's got to get this guy down on Deebo Samuel. If you can do that, you're going to have this run off, and you should have George Kittle wide open deep outside. So here he drops back. He sees it. Okay, we got this run off. I'm going to get George Kittle outside, and watch his head right here. You're going to see this quick little turn, and he's going to shoulders out here, and this guy jumps, and he's going to get George Kittle out. He holds it, layers the ball over the hook, right into the void where, these are the plays that you see guys wide open, and you just go, well, Brock's got such an easy job. These guys are wide open. Let's look at it from the end zone. So now you see a double shift here. So you're using two shifts, more data that he has to process pre-snap of what the defense is doing. Watch his head stripes down the middle. Love it. Right here, he's going to read the hook player. He's going to then work to the curl, and then boom, those shoulders completely that way. This guy drives, and now you're going to get George Kittle coming way over the top. And again, look at the point at which he's throwing, where the guy is in the throwing lane. He's going to then layer this ball over that guy. This is the stuff that Brock does, and he does it with a guy coming into his face, with their running a stunt, and gets a big gain against a really good defense.
It's a good point too, because I think sometimes we look at the receiver and we say, oh, he's wide open, and we think it's all Kyle Shanahan, right? We tend to give all the credit to one person or another, and it's actually both. It's good design by Kyle, but it's also Brock doing those subtle manipulations like you talked about to just squeeze a little bit more out of that play call and make him a little more open than he needs to be. And it does make a big difference. By the way, Real OBJ C2T says, I agree with you, but we do have a weaker schedule this year. But thanks again for the super chat, Real. We do appreciate it. Lisa's 49er says, I effing love Brock Purdy. I hope that a lot of 49er fans feel that way after this game, because number one, I think it'll mean that the 49ers win first and foremost. But also, as I keep saying, I'm tired of having to pit 49er quarterbacks against one another. Yeah. We're all on the same team here, and and as fans, we don't have to be a Brock person or a Mac person. Let's just root for team success.
37 years of quarterback controversies is too much for you.
Yeah.
Oh man. So these last two plays I want to show, because these are the exact same play, and you're going to see very similar ways that defenses operate against these. And this really, to me, highlights the difference. So this is a play that when Brock came in against Miami in 2022, we ran this play 4 or 5 times, and he hit 4 different receivers on this play. And that wasn't because he was choosing to just, I'm going to hit this guy in this play, I'm going to hit that. No, he was throwing a different route every time based on what the defense was doing. We at one point ran this play 3 times in a row, and each time he hit a different player because he saw 3 different coverages, and he worked through the progression. So this is a play that we've run for a while. It's a 4 strong. So we're going to bring Deebo Samuel in motion. So we're going single with 4 eligibles to the other side. So it's a 4 strong, and this is a snag concept or spot concept, where you're going to take Christian McCaffrey. He's going to run the snag route or spot route. George Kittle's going to run a corner route. And Juszczyk's going to run this as a lead blocker, and you get Deebo Samuel out here on a swing pass. So his spot route is this snag or spot route. corner route paired with a flat route. So this usually goes 1, 2 to 3. And what we do is we'll run this 4 strong and we'll have backside slant. So how this works is you get 1, which is a 1, 1, 2, 3. So it's a peak, almost like an alert to the single side. If they roll coverage hard away from to the 4 strong side, you peek the slant and see if it's there, and you take it. We've also run this with an under route. We've run a couple different man beaters on that side, but generally it's a slant. So you're gonna peek, and then you're gonna work 1 to 2 to 3 in your progressions. So this is against the Steelers, week 1, 2022. No, 2023. Yeah. So we've seen Brock from 2023, 2024, 2025. We're going to see at the snap, he's going to peek to this. And what do the Steelers do? They're dropping 8 in coverage by dropping TJ Watt into this little slant spot. So they take it. Brock's he's going to look at it and say, oh, nope. TJ's there. So he's going to pull it down, and he's got pressure right in his face. And he works immediately to number 1 on the spot. So there's 1, 2, and 3. He peeks to the slant, then works to 1 there on the spot or snag route. Depends on what system it is, what that route is named. And so you get a 9-yard gain. Okay. So now here we are against the Giants. This is this year, Mac Jones. So we're going to run this same play. You're going to get a spot route, snag route. You're going to get a corner route, and then you're going to get the flat route with a lead blocker out here. So it's the same thing. 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now we're going to see Mac Jones operate this. And this is what I mean, that Mac will sometimes skip through his progression. So he's going to drop back. He's going to peek to the slant. He's going to look at this. He's going to say, nope, don't like it. And then what does he do? Does he work to number 1 here? No, he's going to work straight to number 3. So he sees that 1 isn't there, and then he gets to his outlet. And I've seen him do this a number of times, that he doesn't work fully through the progression. And so he's going to get it there because Kendrick Bourne is open. He's right there. We saw Brock do the same thing with pressure coming up right at him. He hit this route right away. He hit the 1, and then he went 1, and then he was going to work 2 and 3 if it wasn't there, but 1 was there. So he hit it. Now Mac is just checking this down where you do not have numbers to that side because the coverage didn't dictate this throw. He just immediately kind of panicked here with pressure coming in his face, and he gets it out to Christian McCaffrey. And now you have a 1-yard loss on this play. So these are 2 quarterbacks running the exact same play, and you see the difference.
It's really interesting too, because it's like, it's not a sack, right? He doesn't turn the ball over. It's not a sack. And I'm sure in Mac's head, it's like, hey, I'm dropping back. My first read's not open. I'm getting the ball out of my hands, and we'll live to play another day. And which is not the worst mindset for a backup quarterback to have. Like, I totally understand it, but I do think that does a really good job of showing just the difference between somebody who's, maybe totally comfortable in a system that they've been in for years versus somebody who is coming in with their first year, coming in as a backup quarterback, coming in with other people out around him. And it's just a different operation.
Yeah, it is. And the whole offense it looks a little bit different with Mac Jones versus Brock Purdy in there. It reminds you of what we saw in the difference of the 49ers offense when they went from Jimmy G to Brock Purdy in 2022. This really does remind you of that kind of a change. Is that, yes, they were still able to move the ball a lot with Jimmy G, and they were able to score, a decent amount of points, and they were competitive and won a lot of games. When Brock came in, it was like they started steamrolling every game. They were just, it was 30 points automatic. And it's not any like huge, it's not going to be the Patrick Mahomes where you're running around, you're making all these off schedule plays that are all the reason. There's subtle things in here about the way that he operates and the way he gets the ball out of his hands and the way he can get to certain progressions and the way this affects the defense. They can't just clue in on Christian McCaffrey. They can't just sit here and say, okay, we're going to really take him away, because I think Brock, he understands how to use Christian McCaffrey to open other people up at a different level than many do, because he's able to use that eye manipulation. That game against the Jets, remember, Christian McCaffrey was not playing in that game. Brock had a very good game against that Jets team. And then when you see him with Christian McCaffrey and you see that how he's able to manipulate defenses with his eyes, just one peek to Christian McCaffrey, it's like we saw against Seattle, that post right down the middle is an insane throw for a big chunk gain that we haven't been getting as many of those. It doesn't seem like that area of the field is as open. It's because Brock understands exactly how to use Christian McCaffrey in that's why the three of them are so deadly together and why they have been so good together for so long.
There is one question about this I want to ask you about, and it's going to sound like a dumb question, and that's fine. I'm okay asking it because I think that there are a lot of either Brock fans or Brock haters that are going to want an answer to this question, and I will do it in 1 second. But first, I just want to remind everybody to check out Sleeper. And I know this looks a little weird on the vertical stream. I apologize for you having to look at my face so close. We'll get the layouts worked out hopefully by the end of the week. But anyway, please check out Sleeper. It is the best app to use for picks, for fantasy, for news updates as well. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And if you do use Sleeper, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. All you got to do is pick higher or lower on a bunch of different stats, pick people on multiple teams. And again, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. If you want to go and check it out, sign up. And they'll give you a free $20 entry without you having to deposit any money whatsoever. Free $20 entry. Have a little fun. See where it goes. If you like it and you do want to deposit money, please use our code. It's on the screen, GSP. You will get up to 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Again, that's code GSP. Please go and do it. I promise you, you will like what you see. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Okay, Johnny, the question I want to ask you is, if Brock Purdy is so smart and Brock Purdy is so good at diagnosing defenses and manipulating defenses and knowing where to go with the ball, why does he throw so many interceptions that make you want to rip your hair out, where it looks like he's just predetermined where to go with the ball and he is throwing it right into the hands of a linebacker in the middle of the field?
That is a good question. I think you can also look at that any quarterback that's going to be aggressive to push the ball down the field is going to throw a lot of interceptions. You can go back to Kurt Warner when he won an MVP throwing 22 interceptions in 1 year. We forget about things like that. Kurt Warner saw the field as well as anybody. He threw the ball as accurately as anybody, and he threw 22 interceptions in a year and still won MVP.
And that didn't lead the league, by the way. Somebody else had
right.
more interceptions that year.
Right. Peyton Manning, his rookie year, threw 28 interceptions. When quarterbacks have that aggressive mindset, they're going to there's going to be some tighter windows that they're going to, and they have a lot of confidence. They're going to try and fit the ball in some really tight windows. And sometimes the defense is going to win. Now, the Jacksonville game, when I go back to that, there's the overthrow to Christian McCaffrey. Clearly the toe was affecting him. That was not a bad decision. That was a throw that did not end up where it should have been. When you look at the second interception, that was not going to be an interception if it wasn't picked. The way that route was running, it looks like Juwan Jennings is going to keep running. If you watch that play go work out, Juwan Jennings sits down outside the first hash. Like if we look at it, down the way, he's fitting it outside. The hook player on that side is driving on Christian McCaffrey, and Brock's going to layer that throw in. It's going to be a tight window, but there was not enough room for the backside hook to get there. That they're going to sit that down. It's a drift route that is coached to find a hole, and so Brock's going to hold him up. Juwan Jennings is going to hold up. It's not going to be leading into the other guy. It's tipped and it goes where it's not supposed to go. I look at that Jacksonville game and I go, I don't really fault Brock on those picks as like those were really bad decisions. I understand exactly why he made the decisions he did. The ball didn't end up where it was supposed to go. And I think Kyle's going to look at it the same way. In the same instance, as a fan, when I'm watching that game, I'm still yelling at Brock. I'm like, you can't do that because those plays cost you games. And so it's not acceptable, but I don't say that's a bad decision. When I look at the Seattle game, again, he tries to fit a ball in to too tight of a window both times. He's saying, okay, I'm going to trust Ricky Pearsall down there. Ricky Pearsall on his side, and Kyle said this after the game, worst case scenario, that needs to be an incompletion or offensive PI. Like worst case scenario, offensive PI. That should never be a pick. That was also, you had two other man coverage guys who didn't even care about their their guys they were on because they weren't worried. You had his deep safety who just let MVS run by him. I mean, it's like, okay. And we cut MVS. Then like a bad receiver core, we cut MVS 5 weeks later. That should tell you everything about that. The second one, he was a little late on it. It was just a 2 hitches too late. Guy gained too much depth, and it was just a little short. He's throwing it off his back foot just a little late. I can understand why he made the decision, but that's where Brock, that's one where he's trying to get too aggressive. It's kind of like that throw to Juwan Jennings in the divisional round against Green Bay, where it was like, it was right over the underneath guy in front of the safety. Juwan is stretched out. Those kinds of plays, Brock will make some of those, but doing that, you will end up with some of those don't go your way. But he's a guy that believes in himself, and he believes in putting the ball in there, and he believes it, and he's an aggressive guy. And that is also why you see the offense tends to push the ball down the field just a little bit more with Brock. And that's been the case with him versus any of Kyle's quarterbacks.
I think that, I agree with you. I think that Brock sometimes, I don't want to say forgets. I think he's a little too overconfident in his physical abilities to fit balls into certain places, where if he had a stronger arm, I don't doubt that he'd be ripping him in there left, right, and center, but he doesn't. He does so much to make up for it and maximize what he does have, but sometimes it gets him into trouble. And look, no quarterback is perfect, no question about it, but specifically for this 49ers team, they have to protect the football. Their margin for error is very, very thin. They're negative in the turnover differential this year.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that I want to see from Brock Purdy, forget the downfield throws, forget all of that. It is protect the damn football, because if they do that, especially with some of the games coming up in this sort of 4-game stretch here, they're going to have opportunities to win games. I really believe that. But if you turn it over, you can lose to anybody. So, Brock, I'm begging you, please protect the ball.
Yeah, and it's also hasn't been like Mac's been the best protector of the football either when he's been there. He's generally had about at least one turnover a game, whether it be a fumble or whether it be an interception. Now, Brock obviously is skewed higher. He's got 6 turnovers in 2 games, or 5 turnovers in two games, so he hasn't been taking care of the ball enough. He's got to get back, and hopefully this time has kind of helped him reset. And I don't have to, just because I might be able to make that throw down the middle, I need to, let's be a little more surgical in the shots we take, in the footballs that we fit into these windows. And hopefully the 49ers can keep rolling as far as offense, but you get a little bit more point production because your defense needs it. This defense is hurting physically and kind of schematically as they go. They're trying to figure some things out. D. Winters has got to kind of he's got to have a couple get right games. His play for me has been kind of on a downward trend, and so you need to help out your defense a little bit more.
We will see how it all shakes out this weekend. Again, assuming, because we don't know, assuming Brock gets through practice. Thursday's obviously a big practice for the Niners. It's their most physical practice. Can Brock do it? And more importantly, how does he feel tomorrow afterwards when he wakes up? We will find out. Johnny, thank you so much. Everybody, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Johnny's channel, the Johnny Dale Football Academy. I promise you it has a ton more film breakdowns just like this one, better ones than this one too. Please go and check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. We appreciate you. We missed you last week. Glad you're back, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Always a pleasure.